Welcome to the Lynn Lineup, a show highlighting upcoming events happening in the Lynn community. Today we're here to talk about the rededication of the Grand Army of the Republic Museum and Hall happening on Monday, February 25th, 2019 at 6:30, and that's going to be at 58 Andrew Street. And I am joined today by Dexter Bishop and Wendy Joseph. Thanks for coming in, guys.
Thanks, David.
So the Grand Army of the Republic Museum is not something that a lot of people in the city actually know about or know exists. So for those people, if you could just tell us a little bit about what it is.
Let's take Dexter as the historian extraordinaire.
Okay. The hall itself and the building are what we call a memorial. According to the Acts of 1919, when the members of the General Lander Post 5 saw that they were becoming fewer and fewer, they turned around and got a piece of legislation passed in the State House that if the members and the people of Lynn would vote to accept the hall and its contents, they would turn it over to the city when the last veteran was done. And that's what took place. The last veteran of that post passed away in 1944 during the Battle of the Bulge. He was 102, I think it was, at that time. But so the hall has been sitting in the under the care of the city, and it's also at this point in time, because of its age, it needs a lot of work done on it. And so we're, as a group, trying to take what we consider a treasure, because nationally, there is no other hall like, when I say this, like this. And what makes it unique is the fact that in the main hall, there's 1,142 pictures of the veterans that were members of the post. Everything in that room is exactly the way it was when the last veteran walked out the door.
And when you walk in there, you're just amazed at such a big, grand room is hidden in that building.
You know, it's an amazing thing. I love to go in before everybody, then turn around and watch them and watch their face when they come in, because it's absolutely amazing as the jaw drops. So we are a museum. We have some great stuff in there. We have a little note card that is signed by President Lincoln. There's a flag that flew in Richmond just prior to its fall. All kinds of different types of memorabilia from the Civil War. That most of it came from the members of the post itself. When they came there and they joined, if they had something, they brought it in and left it there. It was a great place to visit. It had a total of 1,800 members. It had assets in 1890 of $90,000, which in today's money is really a lot of money. And every penny of that went to take care of the veterans of that lived in the city. They cut the city up into wards. They had members of the post going out every week checking to make sure. And they would come back and they'd say, so-and-so needs a cord of wood. They would buy that cord of wood and make sure it got delivered, or a ton of coal, or a meal. Or if they didn't have enough money to bury them, they would pick up the thing and pay for the burial. So they really took care of their own.
So obviously there's a lot of items at the museum.
Yep.
If you could just very quickly, each of you, do you have like a special item that you enjoy more than the others?
I have a unique one, and that is it's what they call a swamp canteen. Now today we think we're pretty sharp in the fact that we're able to take and do all kinds of things to go green. Well, back in the 1860s, somebody came up with an idea to take, because a lot of the fighting was done in swamps, and water was then, good water was hard to come by. They built a canteen that had two spouts on the top. Now we have one in the hall, so you can actually see this. And what they would say to the the soldier, you take one side of it and you put it into the swampy water and fill up half of the canteen. Then turn it up like this, and you wait 20 minutes, half hour, and then on the other side would be good water, supposedly, that you could drink from. Now, it went through a carbon filter, and in that carbon filter, what took place was all of the junky stuff that you could see would be filtered out. The problem with the canteen was it didn't filter out the stuff that would kill you, because those bugs would go right straight through, and then when you drink the water, you'd be getting all kinds of bad stuff that actually, the microbes, they never even knew what they were at that time.
Wendy, do you have anything that you enjoy more?
I enjoy looking at a blow-up of the Andersonville prison. The Civil War prisons were notorious for not being able, through various either supply issues or getting back at the captured soldiers, they were not taking care of their soldiers very well, and the conditions were horrific. And I know that the gentleman who built my house up in the Highlands was a Civil War vet who spent time in Andersonville. So I think about him often when I see this big photograph of the camp and wonder how he survived, and made a good connection, at least in my own mind, that when he came back home, he went into the restaurant business, and it was his joy to help people get a good meal.
So we only have a few minutes left. So why exactly is the museum and hall going through this rededication now? Like, why is it happening? What is exactly going to happen?
Well, we're celebrating the fact that we have that building will be 132 years old. And at that time, we're, again, hoping to bring a focus in our efforts to raise funds to do some work on the building. This is why we want to do this. We want to, again, bring up the awareness of the place, get people to want to come down and see it. It's very unfortunate that when you go in, you got 22 stairs just to get to the first level of the museum. And so we're hoping that part of what we can do is get an elevator, have it on the outside of the building, and make it so that we're in compliance with ADA regulation.
So events such as this and our Facebook and website marketing are all going to be part of the tools that we will be utilizing during the fundraising. So we're building the base right now of interest and marketing materials.
All right, before we go, anything else you guys would like to add very quickly? We have about a minute.
Please come down.
No, go ahead. Yeah, come on down.
Please come on down, and the ceremony is very, very touching, and you can be part of history to help be the first types of people that helped us get this into a 21st century class museum, world-class museum, and hopefully in time for the 135th anniversary of the G.A.R. at this spot.
All right. Again, thank you guys for joining me, and for everybody at home, that's the rededication of the Grand Army of the Republic Museum and Hall, happening on Monday, February 25th, 2019 at 6:30 p.m. It's going to be happening over at 58 Andrew Street. That's it for this edition of the Lynn Lineup. Thanks for watching.